Chosen one, pause for a moment. This isn't just another video. You didn't click on this by accident. And I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to deliver a message that your spirit has been waiting for. You've been protected from death, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Yes, your life was supposed to end earlier, but it didn't. And today, I'm going to tell you exactly why. But first, let me ask you something personal. Have you ever walked away from a situation and realized, I shouldn't have survived that? Or have you ever felt like something invisible intervened, like time bent around you, reality shifted, and somehow you were saved? Maybe a car was inches from hitting you. Maybe you were in a place where violence broke out, but you left just before. Maybe illness tried to claim you, but you recovered without explanation. Or maybe the darkness inside your own mind almost swallowed you, but somehow you pulled through. If any of that stirs something in your chest, if you felt the chill of death brush past you, and still you're here breathing, then listen very carefully. You are not ordinary. You are a chosen one. And what I'm about to tell you has the power to shift your entire understanding of your life, your pain, and your purpose. This is not a coincidence. This video found you because your spirit has reached a point where truth must break through the noise. You've been feeling it already, haven't you? That sense that there's something more, something hidden just under the surface, that your path has been stranger than most, that you've escaped what others did not. That's not imagination. That's not luck. That's divine protection. Chosen ones walk a path marked by war in the unseen. The enemy tried to take you early because it saw what you would become. But God, the universe, the source of light, whatever you call it, stepped in and said no, and here you are. Now let me be bold and tell you straight. Your survival wasn't just mercy, it was strategy. Your death was delayed because your destiny could not be denied. Your spiritual purpose is tied to events that haven't even unfolded yet. You were kept here because the mission needs you. This world needs what's in you. And the timing had to be perfect. And it is. This is the exact moment where your memory begins to return. Not your mind's memory, but your soul's memory. The reason you've been feeling that pull, that strange silence before change, is because heaven's timeline is catching up to you. And now, the veil is lifting. You've already survived what should have destroyed you. That's your confirmation. Now it's time to understand why. Before we go further, I want you to do something. If this message already feels like it's speaking directly to you, I want you to comment 333 below. Let the spiritual realm see that you're awake and aware. And subscribe to this channel, Rise of the Chosen, so you never miss a message that's meant for your soul. Hit the bell icon and share this with someone else who you know was kept alive for something greater. Because this isn't just about you, it's about all of us who were pulled from the edge for a divine reason. I'm not just speaking from theory, I've lived through it, and I've watched too many others walk through fire and still wonder why they're not burned. It's time you stop questioning your survival and start understanding it. Because this message isn't random, it's revelation. Chosen one, I don't care if the world thinks you're late. Spirit says you're on time, right on time. Your spiritual purpose has been protected. Your destiny has been delayed, but not denied. And now you're about to remember who you are and why death couldn't touch you. Let's begin. What is divine protection and why you keep escaping death? Chosen one, have you ever wondered how you're still here? How you made it through things that should have broken you, ended you, or at the very least left you destroyed? You didn't just survive on your own strength. You were covered, watched, guarded. This is what we call divine protection. Divine protection isn't luck. It's not random chance. It's not because you were smarter or stronger than others. It's because something higher, something beyond the physical, placed its hand on your life and said, "Not yet." You were not meant to die in that moment, because your purpose was still unfolding. Many chosen ones are born into environments that seem designed to destroy them: dysfunctional homes, dangerous neighborhoods, sickness, trauma. The chaos begins early. It's almost like life starts with a storm. But even in those storms, there were moments where something invisible held you up. You might not have noticed it then, but look back. Really look. There were close calls, times when everything should have gone wrong, but something shifted, something interfered. That was divine protection. Divine protection is the spiritual covering placed over a soul with assignment. When your life has been marked for purpose, especially a purpose that affects others, awakens others, or challenges darkness, you become a target, but you also become protected. The universe, the divine, God, it doesn't send chosen ones into this world unequipped. You are watched from the moment you enter. You are known even before you're aware of yourself. And death, it has tried. Oh yes, it has. But it was denied access. Not because you prayed the right words, not because you did everything right, but because your timeline didn't allow for your exit. There are still missions within you. There are still people you must speak to, heal, activate. There are still doors you must open that no one else can. Divine protection also works through intuition, that inner nudge that says, "Don't go there." The sudden delay that irritates you, but later you find out there was danger. The last-minute change of plans that saved your life. That wasn't coincidence. That was your spiritual team, your guides, your protection doing their job, keeping you aligned with your delayed destiny. Chosen one, the reason you keep escaping death isn't because death didn't notice you. It saw you. It tried. But divine order outranked it. You are not here on accident. You are still alive because heaven is investing in you. And when heaven invests, it protects. Even in your darkest moments, when you felt abandoned, unseen, unworthy, there was still a barrier between you and total destruction. You may have felt broken, but something was always standing between you and the final blow. You may have cried yourself to sleep, but something was standing guard. That is divine protection. And let me tell you something deeper. Protection doesn't always feel like comfort. Sometimes it feels like pain, delays, isolation. But that isolation kept you from certain traps. That delay kept you from wrong alignments. That pain built your discernment. Protection isn't always soft. Sometimes it's sharp and holy and full of fire, but it always guards your essence. So next time you think you made it out by accident, remember, there are no accidents for the chosen ones, only divine strategy. You didn't just survive, you were spared, you were shielded, you were set apart. And now that you know, it's time to walk like someone who has been covered by something greater. Because death already tried you, and it failed. First escape, the spiritual attack. You survived, unknowingly chosen one. Let me take you back to the first time death reached for you and missed. You probably didn't even know what was happening at the time. You were too young, too distracted, too unaware of the unseen realm. But the truth is, your life was under attack long before you ever realized you were chosen. This first escape wasn't just physical, it was spiritual. A war was declared on your soul the moment your spirit entered this realm. Some of you were attacked in the womb. Complications during pregnancy, near miscarriages, birth trauma. Others attacked in early childhood, sickness, accidents, abuse, strange illnesses that doctors couldn't fully explain. You may have thought it was just part of life, but it wasn't. It was an attempt to silence your light before it could rise. Spiritual attacks often come early for those with a heavy calling. Why? Because darkness doesn't wait for you to grow. It tries to abort your mission before you ever find your voice. Before you even know what spiritual purpose means, the enemy already sees it glowing in your soul, so it moves fast. But divine protection moves faster. Let me be very clear. This wasn't just about harm. It was about spiritual assassination. The enemy doesn't fear your personality. It fears your destiny. It fears the power of your future voice, your future healing gift, your future authority. So it came at you when you were unarmed. But even then, heaven stepped in. You may not remember the details, but your spirit does. That near-fatal fever. That moment you were choking, and someone walked in just in time. That night terror you had every week as a child. That accident that came out of nowhere. The unseen world tried to pull you out through fear, confusion, or premature sickness. And yet, you're still here. Why? Because your timeline couldn't be interrupted. Your contract with this earth wasn't up. You were spiritually coded to survive that first attack because your spiritual purpose hadn't even begun to unfold yet. Divine protection surrounded you like a cloak, even when no one around you understood who you were. Some of you were marked children. You were always different, sensitive to people's emotions, dreams that came true, seeing shadows others couldn't, feeling energies in rooms before anyone spoke. That wasn't imagination. It was your early awakening. And that awakening made you a target, but also it made you untouchable. The spiritual attack failed not because it didn't have force, but because heaven had already claimed you. This escape was your first sign, even if you didn't recognize it. A moment when Spirit said, "Not yet. Not this one." It may have looked like a recovery, like you just got better, like help showed up just in time. But behind the scenes, angels were warring. Your ancestors were interceding. The energy around you was shifting because death was being denied access to your soul. And here's something even deeper. This first escape activated something in you. It opened a portal. You may have noticed after that close call, your life felt different. You sensed things, saw signs, developed a deep inner world. That's because your near-death moment wasn't just an escape. It was an awakening, a spiritual recalibration. You didn't just walk away alive. You walked away touched, marked, watched. Chosen one. The first time death missed you, your path was sealed in light. You became a moving piece in the divine design. And from that moment, nothing would be the same again. So if you've ever wondered why life felt so intense from the very beginning, why things were always heavier for you, know this. It's because you survived what others didn't, and not by accident. Comment 777. If this brings back a memory or a feeling you can't explain, because your soul knows exactly what I'm talking about. That first escape wasn't random. It was your spiritual initiation, and you were never the same again. Second escape. The emotional or mental collapse that didn't win. Chosen one, the second time death reached for you. It didn't come through a car crash or a sickness. This time, it came in silence. It came through despair. This was a spiritual assassination attempt from the inside, not against your body, but against your mind, your emotions, your will to live. Maybe you remember it clearly, maybe you've tried to forget. But there was a time when the weight on your soul was too heavy, when you were isolated, empty, tired in a way that sleep couldn't fix. You didn't want to be here anymore, and you may not have told anyone. You may have smiled on the outside, worked your job, laughed with friends, but deep inside, something was dying. Hope was dying. The will to fight was dying. That was the real battle, and many people didn't even notice you were in it. This escape was spiritual, psychological, emotional, and just as deadly as any physical threat. The enemy saw that the first attack didn't take you out, so it changed tactics. It whispered lies instead of bullets. It planted seeds of self-hate. It tried to drain you with toxic relationships, endless anxiety, confusion about who you were. It fed you darkness disguised as numbness. And for a while, you may have believed it. Some of you were in abusive situations that crushed your spirit. Others battled years of depression. Others were worn down by loneliness so deep it made the world feel like an empty shell. But still, you survived. You made it out. And even if you were crawling, you came through. This was not just survival. This was sacred resistance. Chosen one, do you know how many people never return from that place? That dark night of the soul where nothing makes sense and everything feels fake. Where you question your worth, your purpose, your very existence. Many stay there. But you didn't. You were pulled out. Something reached inside the pit and grabbed you before you went too far. And it wasn't your own strength. It was divine protection. Your mental collapse didn't win because your spiritual purpose was stronger than your suffering. And even in your silence, heaven heard you. The tears that no one saw were recorded. The prayers you didn't even have the words to say were understood. Angels don't wait for perfect speech. They move at the sound of broken surrender. There was a moment, maybe small, maybe hidden, when something shifted. A phone call came, a song played, a stranger said something kind, or maybe you just woke up one day and felt a little less heavy. That wasn't random. That was divine timing. That was light breaking through. And here's the truth that most people won't say out loud. Emotional and mental pain are some of the most dangerous attacks a chosen one will face. Because when your spirit is powerful, the enemy knows it can't kill you with bullets. It has to convince you to give up on yourself. That's the strategy. Not destruction, but disconnection. If it can't kill you, it will try to silence you, numb you, make you believe that your light doesn't matter. But you didn't let it. And that's why you're still here. Your second escape was internal, and it revealed something powerful, that your mind is a battlefield, but it is also a throne. You have the ability to stand up even when your soul is tired. You can break spiritual chains even in silence. And when the enemy saw you still breathing, still rising, still praying through the pain, it realized something terrifying. You are not just chosen. You are unstoppable. So don't ever minimize that season of survival. Don't ever look back and feel weak about the time you almost gave up, because you didn't. You're here. You are proof that divine protection doesn't just stop bullets. It also rescues the mind when it's slipping into darkness. And that's why you're dangerous now, because what should have killed your joy has only sharpened your wisdom. What tried to bury you, built you, and your purpose, it just got louder. Third escape, the physical threat that was diverted chosen. 1. This third escape was different. This time, the threat was close, real, physical. You saw it with your eyes or felt it in your body. It wasn't an emotional storm or a silent mental collapse. It was a direct earthly danger that should have taken you out. But something happened. The moment twisted. Time paused. And once again, you survived. This was the kind of situation that makes people say, "You're lucky to be alive." But you and I both know it wasn't luck. It was divine protection stepping between you and something final. A car missed you by inches. A surgery had complications, but you pulled through. You entered a space where violence erupted but somehow walked away untouched. Maybe your body was weak, maybe you bled, maybe you even passed out, but you didn't pass on. Something interfered with the final outcome. That something was not human. When a chosen one is marked by destiny, even death has to ask for permission. This third escape was a moment when the natural and the spiritual collided. You were in danger, no question about it. It wasn't theoretical, it was real. Flesh and blood, metal and bone. Your name could have been written on a tombstone, but it wasn't. Because the contract on your life had a clause. Purpose not yet complete. That's why your timeline was protected. That's why your heart kept beating when the doctors were unsure. That's why you woke up after that accident, disoriented but alive. You might even look back now and think, I don't know how I made it out of that. But your spirit knows. It remembers the force field of light that surrounded you, the hand that caught you when the world let go. You see, when your spiritual purpose is still active, death cannot override destiny. The chosen ones walk with unseen protection. Your physical body may seem fragile, but your assignment carries power. The energy around you bends moments, delays tragedies, and rearranges sequences so that you are never in the wrong place at the wrong time. And even when it looks like you are, you still escape. This is the kind of escape that leaves you speechless. You replay the memory over and over, trying to make sense of it. Maybe you got angry afterward or deeply emotional. That's normal, because something in your soul knew how close it was. You tasted death, and then tasted breath again. Don't minimize that moment. Don't brush it off and say, it just wasn't my time. That phrase is true, but it's incomplete. It wasn't your time because your destiny had not been fulfilled. It wasn't your time because someone still needs your voice, your healing, your presence. It wasn't your time because heaven had an intervention planned for the exact second things went wrong. Some of you have physical scars that tell this story. Others have none, just memories that feel too heavy for words. Either way, the truth is the same. You were saved. You were caught mid-fall. You were yanked from the mouth of destruction like someone pulling a soul out of fire. And now that you've walked through that door and come back, you carry something different. You're not like the rest anymore. You've crossed through an invisible threshold. You've danced on the line between life and death and returned with clarity in your eyes. That's why people stare at you sometimes and don't know why. That's why animals sense you, why your aura feels electric in certain spaces. Because you carry the residue of survival, not just survival, divine escape. So don't hide your story. Tell it. Even if people don't understand it, your spirit will recognize who needs to hear it. Because someone out there is on the edge right now, and your testimony is their lifeline. The physical threat was real. The danger was undeniable. But heaven was faster. And chosen one. This was not the last time death will come close, but it will never come closer than divine permission allows. You've been spared for something extraordinary. And now your next chapter begins with a truth no one can take away from you. You were saved on purpose. For purpose. The reason behind all three delays. Purpose was greater than pain. Chosen one, let's bring the truth into full focus. You didn't just survive once, you didn't just escape death twice. You were spared 3 times, and possibly more. Each escape wasn't just mercy. It was design, divine timing, a cosmic strategy written before you were even born. And here's the reason that ties them all together. Your purpose was greater than your pain. Every delay was divine. The first time death tried to take you, it was too early. Your spirit hadn't yet awakened. You were being formed, molded, and shielded. The enemy came for you in childhood or youth to kill the seed before it could take root. But heaven said, this one has a purpose. Not yet. The second time, the collapse came from within. Emotional, mental, spiritual war. You were inches from surrendering to the void. You may have questioned your worth, even wished you could leave. But your purpose whispered louder than your pain. You couldn't see your own light, but the divine could. And the thread that held you together was the same thread tied to your destiny. Then came the third. A physical encounter with danger. Real, raw, undeniable. Something that should have ended your life, and didn't. Because your breath still has work to do. Your hands still have healing to offer. Your voice still has awakening to release into the world.